Wired Wednesday, or what I'm now calling WWMJD.
MJD. What's the D for? Damsel in distress.
What would McKinnon do?
Oh no, we don't want to know what I'm going to do. Really. Although, I was thinking this morning, I am really predictable in being unpredictable. You can always count on me to do the unexpected.
Exactly. I can't bring your dog to the show today.
I know. Well, I felt bad. You know, the whole dog watchers out there, you know, seeing a dog in a really cold car. You know, because it's like, what, a whole 16 degrees out there right now?
Let's see. Let me see. I think we can beat that. It's 17 now.
Sorry, 17 degrees. So I was like, well, if anything, I'm going to get kicked out of the studio if I bring my dog. But she's so well-mannered.
Dogs are welcome here all the time.
All right.
Will they let us in?
Hey, well, oh my, you're not dogs. Oh my goodness.
Are you sure?
Well,
I've often said, look, because we can now pick what we want to be in today's society.
Oh, there's so many letters. Is the D letter part of the vocabulary?
I think it could be. And trust me, I was kind of half joking when we brought it up, and then I did a big thing. There's a whole big trans species movement out there.
Hey, you know, everything.
And I'm sitting there going, what the hell? My wife's dog is the most pampered thing in the world. I'm going to be that. Thank you very much.
Hey, you know, if one could come back as a dog, I would want to be one of my dogs.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, a day at a time. Good morning. This is Wired Wednesday with McKinnon Hansen. Thank you so much for listening. I found out that I have a very loyal listener out there who makes sure and catches every show that I do. So a quick shout out to Tavish Edward. Thank you so much for listening, and we really appreciate your support. In studio today, we have Utah Farm Bureau Federation President, Ron Gibson. How are you doing, Ron?
Doing great.
Good.
Thanks for having me.
No, thank you, and thank you for doing everything you did yesterday and then choosing to drive down to little old Cedar City. I mean, little old. We are nothing like the Metropolitan up in, you know, the past Santaquin area.
Thank heavens.
No, and thank heavens, there are blessings within that. So thank you for dealing with the traffic and then dealing with the lack of traffic to get to here last night. What's on your mind? What's coming up in the Federation, and what is this Fusion Conference going on?
Well, I'm down here in St. George this week, starting tomorrow. We have what we're calling this year Western Leadership Conference.
Okay, sorry.
And we've invited all 13 of the Western states here. So we have a lot of the Western Farm Bureau presidents that are going to be here together.
That's
and
huge.
We're going to talk a little bit about what issues we can all work together on to help farmers and ranchers in the western part of the United States.
That's an incredible footprint to bring all down to St. George. Now, did you get traffic control involved, you know, with St. George? Because their streets are itty bitty still.
Yeah, they are. But I'll have to tell you, you know, coming down last night in the dark, Cedar City's sure growing. There was sure a lot of lights here when I pulled in here last night.
You know, I remember back in the day when town literally didn't go past some of the foothills, like the Cove and Westview was town, and now you again coming into it, it's incredible, the lights, the developments that have happened in that. So with the Western Leadership Conference, what are you hoping to accomplish, and what topics do you want to bring up during the conference?
Well, first of all, what we're trying to accomplish is we're better when we work together, right? And so our industry in agriculture is always one that's adapting and changing to the realities of life, and farms and ranches are changing. I mean, we just talked a little bit about how Cedar City's changed. Our entire state's changed. Development is a big deal across the state, and Utah's a place that people want to be, or Utah is a place that people want to be in, and whether we like it or not, they're coming. And so one of the big challenges that we have is how do we deal with that development, and how do we maintain a viable agricultural industry while Utah's population base grows 40% over the next decade or two. And that's a big challenge, and it's not a challenge that's different from other western states. Like, we know obviously California has kind of blown itself up, and many people are moving here from the
Right.
from the West Coast, and So it's an issue that we all have to deal with all across the western United States.
Well, and it's incredible. I was just talking with the county commissioner just yesterday, in fact, and I'm fairly good friends with all three of the ones that we have in Iron County, but they also serve on water boards, and they also serve in other community committees to make sure that agriculture and development are happening at just the local level. So it's really nice to know that at the state level, specifically you being the federation president, that you're aware of the issues and that you're actively seeking advice and or actively seeking ideas and feedback to make sure we're growing sustainably within the state of Utah. And where you're inviting 13 other states, you're also concerned, with other states and making sure we're creating that synergy for development, because again, one idea is better, but two ideas is best. And even more, you get this idea kind of going and getting actual movement accomplished.
Agreed. We're right in the middle of the legislative session right now, and we're just going through the redistricting process, and next year when the elections happen, we're going to have less representation again in the rural parts of the state because of the growth that's happening in the urbanized areas. And so it's very, very important that organizations like ours work together and really find ways to represent not just farmers and ranchers, but people in the rural part of Utah. Some of the issues that are really big to us this year is there's, as an arid state like ours grows like this, water is a huge issue. And how do we take that precious resource that we have here in the state and manage it in a way that accomplishes everybody's goals? And that's a huge challenge.
Well, and the challenge, and then we have old water and not new water, and there's so many complications with water that we could spend hours and hours. But unfortunately, Wired Wednesday is only a 25-minute show, so we'll leave it at that. But it's nice to know that the Federation specifically is looking and seeking, feedback on how to protect this precious resource. So,
right.
Ron, kind of in a new direction, okay? You are an individual, right? Just as I'm an individual. We have families, we have spouses, we have children. You have grandchildren. I'm not seasoned enough to have grandchildren. How do you balance it all?
Well, if my wife were to be here today, she'd probably tell you that I don't balance it very well.
I'm sorry, Andrea.
But I'm glad she doesn't have a mic right next to me today. But so I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I come from a farm in Ogden, Utah. I have our farm's been in our family's name for 152 years this year. And that stewardship that we have there is very important. I'm the 6th generation. My son's 7th. We have a grandbaby that we hope is the 8th. And in order to keep that farming operation alive, it takes a lot of work and a lot of planning and a lot of focus. And obviously, we know that I also have 7 kids. And in order to keep that relationship alive, it takes that same thing. It takes a lot of planning, a lot of effort, and a lot of work. Being the president of the Farm Bureau Federation, that takes a lot of planning, a lot of preparation, and a lot of work. And it's just really important, I think, that when we're doing something, we're focused on the moment that we're in, right? Like when we have family time, it's important that we're having family time, and when we're at work, it's important that we're at work, and when we're playing, it's important that we play. I always taught my kids when we were growing up and working together that, we're going to work hard, but we're going to play hard when we play. And that's kind of my motto.
It's kind of nice when you have a place, I'm not looking at Chris and I, where you can come to work and still get to play at the same time.
Yes. Well, and I wouldn't say that Ron never plays at work, as he does run, 150 head of cows and some odd more acres of onion and potato fields, I think.
So we have a 1,500 cow dairy.
15. I missed a zero.
Yeah,
sorry.
It's okay. We have a 1,500 cow dairy, and we also do quite a bit of produce. We do a lot of onions. So we're kind of cheese and cheese and onions. So
You
they're
can't
pretty
go
good
wrong with
together.
those, right?
So Culver's
Yes.
onion rings with their cheddar cheese sauce is the bomb.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you can go to Culver's and support Ronnie by doing that right there.
Good to know.
I was going to say, when you said you produced onions, you became my hero. It's to this day. One of the greatest things my mother-in-law said to me is, "Oh yeah, onions are vegetables." And I go, oh, "I'm so in on that."
There was a time in my life. Now my husband hates onions. Okay, my whole Hanson side hates onions. But there was a time in my life that I could eat a purple onion like an apple.
Well,
I love onions.
When I was working with the kids over at Hamburger Hill,
Yeah.
I would, when we were doing prep, I would often just grab an onion and start eating it. And they go, "How can you do that?" I go, "It's great."
Right, exactly. Okay, refocus, squirrel. Ron, I set the same, I pick words each year, to try and go through my year with and make sure that I'm being kind of thoughtful about what I want to create in that 12-month period.
Mm-hmm.
Now it does change, and kind of some things modify and whatnot. But this year my word is intention. And I really think I picked it up last year in practicing intention. But if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't happen. So I have a year calendar out in front of me, and I plan the weekends I want with my spouse. I plan the weekends I want as family trips with the kids. I plan out the different activities, and I've made my work schedule accommodate my daughter's dad's schedule. And not that we have a huge commute here, but 10 minutes here and there and back and forth and whatever, it eventually eats out all of my working time. So I was like, look, I'll just stop, work, formal work, and I'll work from home. And my kids are starting to learn, when mom needs to be on her computer, she needs to be on her computer. But my kids are also young enough in that malleable age that I need to be present with my children. And I need to intentionally be present with my children. So me creating an effective work schedule, then feeds my kid time, which feeds my family time, which feeds my spouse time. And it's incredible, again, when you set out the schedule. I know that I'm working now. I know that I'm home now. I know that I'm playing now. You can be present in the moments with intention. I know that's a lot of words, but it puts a totally different spin on your life. And it changes the way that you react to things going on, because at least for me, I deal with my big rocks first and the water last. And the water and sand are mostly uncontrollable things and have nothing to do with me, so I don't let them eat away my time. Kind of a thing. And so it's really incredible. I mean, and a man of your authority and a man of your history with agriculture, that you also practice those in some light. Now, we both know, and Tim and Chris know as well, that some days aren't perfect. Most days aren't perfect, really. But if we set the intention of today, this is what I'm setting out to do. I'm either working or I'm playing, or I'm working harder or I'm playing harder. Then it changes the entire aspect of the day.
Well, it's really interesting, and I think it's important too that we don't put ourselves in a corral of what does everybody else do, right? So December 4th, I lost my dad, and he's my farm dad. I call him. That means that other than the 2 years that I was on my mission in Argentina, I lived within a quarter of a mile of him and worked with him every single day of my life. And I talk to my kids a lot about that. I think that they're spoiled. We've done some pretty cool family vacations and stuff like that. But when I look back at my years growing up, I can think of 2 times that we left the farm and stayed overnight.
Only 2.
In all my years, from when I was a baby until I left on my mission with my mom and dad. And in fact, only one of those times included my mom. And once my dad took me camping in the camper. Just me and him. But when Dad died, I can look back and think no one had a better relationship with their dad than I had with mine, because we were together every day of our life. And so sometimes I think, we get stuck in this, if we don't go to Hawaii with our kids, or if we don't go to Disneyland, or if we don't do these things that other people do. Sometimes we can't do that. And the reason that we couldn't do that, it wasn't that my family didn't have any resources. We weren't rich, but it was because we had cows that we had to milk, and we could go anywhere we wanted as long as we were there at 3:30 in the morning and 3:30 in the afternoon. As long as we could go in between those two schedules, we could go anywhere we wanted. And so we didn't get very far, and that's why we didn't do a lot of that. But we did have plenty of time to be together as a family, and I just think that it's important that all of us find that time, no matter what it is. It doesn't have to be big and elaborate. It just has to be that time.
So the quality versus the quantity.
Absolutely. Not only the quality, but finding the right thing that fits your family.
I totally agree. It's, going back to the core principles, I think, of what agriculture is, and a lot of it is created around family. Back in the day, you had kids to help you work. Not that they were slave labor by any means.
They were slave labor.
Okay, good to know. You said it, not me. I can't get in trouble, right? But
no, you can.
Oh, I can? Oh, okay. Whole nother topic. But it's incredible that we've kind of gotten away from working together as a family and playing together as a family. And we can't teach our children to work. Why not? My children do chores. My 18-month-old was cooking eggs. Now, supervised by any means. And he wanted to do it all by himself this morning. But he knows how to cook eggs. My 4-year-old knows how to make macaroni and cheese by herself. The only thing I do is pour the hot water out of the pan. Everything else she does. She even pours the whole milk. And now, that can be a little more interesting. And cracking eggs with the toddler or the 18-month-old was definitely all over the kitchen this morning. But they need those kinds of opportunities. They need learning experiences. They need more dirt and less technology.
I agree. When my kids were growing up, Nintendo and the video games and all that kind of stuff was a big deal. Xbox, and I was disgusted by it. And I told them, there's no way in heck that's ever coming in our house. And they were mad at me for a while. But once we kind of set that standard, that's the way it is. But we just go out and do our thing, and I think that's important. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't fit for other people. I'm just saying we have to find ways to teach basic skills. I think if we look at the way America is developing right now, the biggest challenge that I see we have is making sure that our youth understand the basic skills of really, if you work hard, you get rewarded. So much of our world is everybody else's fault, and don't worry if
victim mentality.
And don't worry if we don't make it, the government will help us, or someone else. It'll be somebody else's responsibility to bail us out. And in the real world, I've never found anybody to bail me out. I have to work through my own problems, and I have to find my own solutions. And I think in order to help our country continue to maintain the integrity that it has, we have to continue to do exactly that.
Ron, thank you so much for joining us with Wired Wednesday today. I love that we have you on when we catch you coming down to St. George, and it's such an experience to hear from you.
Why St. George?
Because Cedar's not big enough.
It's big enough.
For a tent, well, how many attendees come? 2,000 or 3,000?
Yeah, maybe.
We can handle
maybe
that.
1 million.
Maybe.
1 million people?
We don't have a good conference center yet.
How cold did you just say it was?
It's a temperature thing.
Why are you asking the St. George thing? It's January. Hello.
You're farmers. You're stout and hardy people. You're used to this.
I know.
We want to
But
get
don't
out
you
of
think
it.
we want to be warm once in a while?
Just once in a while.
That's why we have heaters in cars.
Most of them. And tractors now come with some pretty plush air conditioning system.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, come on. Give us a break here. We're okay. We can handle 2,000 or 3,000 people. You know that, MJ.
The university is the only place that is capable of that in town so far, and with the different interesting things going on.
You don't think we just do this at the Heritage Theater?
Nope. Heritage Theater doesn't have the capacity. I have planned conferences. I have been to the nitty-gritty of what that means, and with all the COVID, umpteenth regulations, you have to have almost a third or more space to accommodate that
Fine,
kind
have
of
your dang
capacity.
convention in St.
Listen,
George.
we're going to
It's
take a look
August.
at Cedar next time.
Okay.
Okay?
I'll
Yeah.
help plan it a little bit, meaning
Okay.
I'm not committing to anything today, but I might.
I think I got politicians over here. We'll look into that.
This
You
has
know-
been McKenna Hansen with Wired Wednesday. We are running short on time. I am your local Farm Bureau financial agent specializing in commercial and succession planning. Please give me a call at 435-592-2021. In studio today, we've had Utah Farm Bureau President Ron Gibson. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure to have you here, Ron. We're gonna get you out of this misguided have to go to St. George. We'll get you out. All right, thanks, guys.